Greetings. Welcome back to Kaizen. We will talk about the methodology. So Kaizen, we plan, do, check, act, Six Sigma, or the A3 that we go through, clarify the problem, we're breaking down the problem, we're setting the target, and then we're analyzing for the root cause because we want to eliminate that root cause. So each of these methodologies use that idea is we want to be able to identify the root cause and eliminate it. So one of the tools we can use is that Plan, Do, Check, Act by Walter Schuhart or Dr. Edward Deming. And we can go through and identify what changes need to be made based on data. So that's the planning stage. In the doing stage, we are going to brainstorm a pilot and then put a pilot into place. Then we're going to check and see if it's a good fit. We will observe that process, we'll study the results, and then if it's not a good fit, if it doesn't work well, we will tweak it. So plan, do, check, act. We can also use that to make. So this is a data-driven strategy for improving processes. And we can go through and we can use the DMAIC approach, which is defining the problem. What do we need to do as far as measuring the issue so we can collect the data? We'll analyze the data, we'll implement some kind of improvement, and then we'll watch to see if it's a good fit under the control phase. And we can use that DMAIC method for our Kaizen event. Also use the scientific method or the A3. Once we identify the issue, once we identify this waste and inefficiency, we can brainstorm with our team and then complete an A3. Now this was originally developed by Toyota. We can use that A3 method to come up with all aspects of our problem. Also use a fishbone. So this fishbone lists the materials, the methods, the measurement, the equipment, man and environment. Now this is called a Ishikawa or a fishbone, but anything you call it, it's a problem analysis tool where we can develop what the root cause is. We can also use a SIPOC, and this is a tool to understand every step in the process from the time the supplier gets involved to the time of the customer. So every step along the way, just supplier, input, process, outputs, and customer. We can also interview the customer. We can interview our internal customers and we can interview our external customers just to find out what the problem is, or we can also send a survey and we can ask a couple questions with a survey, and then in the Kaizen event, we could have results of the interviews and results of the survey to go through and to discuss with our teams. Now, we can also pull customer complaints or patient complaints, and that is a useful way to find out what is happening within that process as well. We can also use maps and charts and diagrams such as spaghetti maps and value stream maps and the results of the observation. Now, whether we do the spaghetti diagrams and the value stream maps in advance, or if you actually perform them in the Kaizen event, they're very helpful because as a team, we can see where all the problems exist, where the problems start, where the problems end, each one of the handoffs, how long each one of these processes take, and then we can verify that all of these different issues need to be worked on or need to be resolved. And this is the baseline information. Once we make the changes and improvements, then we can compare this baseline to our improved process, and then we can really see what we've done as far as improving the process or redesigning the process, bringing that defect rate down, eliminating that waste and inefficiency. Also use a spaghetti diagram as one of the tools for our Kaizen event, and we can trace an activity through a process to identify redundancies in workflow. If we stand and we observe a process, we can watch the people moving back and forth, watch inventory, maybe identify some defects that come in, just all the waste and the wasteful activities that happens in daily work. We can identify that through a spaghetti diagram. Now, once we redesign that process, then we can go and observe the redesign and show how much time we saved, how much inventory we saved, how many steps, whatever you're trying to improve. If you have a before and after, it's very, very helpful. We also can use our value stream map from start to finish. And this is very helpful within a Kaizen event because our value stream map will get everybody on the same page of where does our process start, where does our process end, all the waste and waiting in between, what is the overall lead time, and how to shrink that lead time by just identifying some of the process improvements that need to take place throughout this Kaizen event. So if you have any questions about the tools and the methodologies that we used, by all means, reach out to me and I will answer. But take into consideration that any of the tools that you've learned throughout this facilitator program that you can use for your Kaizen event. But just remember, whatever you use, you'll have to do some focus training for the people that will be on your team. Not everybody will know or understand all of the different tools and methodologies that you've learned. So you may have to do some training prior to starting your Kaizen event. Well, next lesson, we're going to conduct the event, so I will see you there.